Alrighty guys, so we are going to continue practicing some balancing equations. I know it's like a weird light. I don't have a lot of light in here, so my camera light is on. Alrighty, so as a reminder, there are 4 steps to balancing out our chemical equations. Step number 1 is to write a chemical reaction in a chemical formula / equation. Now you don't have to write these notes. These are already written in our notebook. Okay. Then step 2 is identify all elements. 3 is count. And then 4 is change our coefficient. Okay, so for our example, we're going to do 3 problems together. So our first one, we're going to have H2O2 reacts and changes into H2O plus O2. So we've written our chemical reaction as a equation. So we're going to identify all elements. Remember, drawing this line right here is really handy to distinguish between the two sides. We have the reactants and we have the products. So we have H, which is hydrogen, and O, which is oxygen. And then we're going to copy that over here also. Okay, step 3 is to count. So I have 2 hydrogens. Remember, this little number right here is a subscript. It only applies to whatever is directly in front of it. So I have 2 hydrogens, and then I have 2 oxygens. Alrighty, and then I'm going to count over here. My subscript applies to the letter that's right in front of it. So I have 2 hydrogens. Now with oxygens, I see that I have 1 O right here and 2 right here. So I'm going to add them together. So 1 plus 2 equals 3. All right, so then number 4 is to change my coefficient. My coefficient is my big number in front. Remember, when I change my coefficient, it is multiplication. So start always at the top. Are my hydrogens balanced? Yes. Are my oxygens balanced? No. I have 2 on this side and 3 on this side, so they're unbalanced. Now, I have 2 right here and 1 right here. You always want to start working with the singular one because remember when multiplying, we got blank times 1. So it can really be whatever we want. And we really want to make it an even number just to make it really simple because 2, 4, 6, 10 are easier numbers to multiply than 3 or 7. So I'm going to put a 2 as my coefficient. Okay, and then remember that gets distributed and multiplied. So 2 times 2 is 4. And then 2 times 1, because there's only 1 oxygen right here, 2 times 1 is also 2. So then I do 2 plus 2 is 4. So then I go back. Are my hydrogens balanced? No. This one says 4. This one says 2. What coefficient do I have to put here in order to make my hydrogens 4? What times 2 equals 4? I'm going to change my coefficient to 2. I'm going to distribute and multiply. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. So then I check. Are my hydrogens balanced? Yes. Is my oxygens balanced? Yes. So my balanced equation is 2H2O2 produces 2H2O plus O2. We do not have to put anything in here. All right. Our next equation is going to be, we're going to start going back and forth and back and forth. So this was just one back and forth. We didn't have to continually change our numbers. So we're going to go back and forth and back and forth. Now I'm doing mine in a pen. When you go back and forth, it may be easier to use a pencil as I can erase. I'm going to use my pen very neatly, and it may help also to have extra paper to write this on. sorry, O6. All right, so we have CO2 plus H2O produces C6H12O6 plus O2. All right, so we wrote our chemical equation. We have to identify all of our elements. So we're going to draw our line. C is for carbon, O is for oxygen, and H is for hydrogen. And my same things on my other side. Alrighty, and then I count. How many carbons do I have? I have 2 oxygen here, and I have 1 right here. So 2 plus 1 is, and then according to my subscript, how many hydrogen do I have? Good, then we count on the other side. How many carbon do I have? How many hydrogen do I have? And then I have 6 oxygen here, plus 2 oxygen here. All right, so we start at the top. Are my carbons balanced? No, I have 1 over here and 6 over here. What times 1 equals 6? What is my coefficient? What do I need to get 6? All right, I'm changing my coefficient to 6 and I'm distributing. 6 times 1 is 6 carbons. 6 times 2 is 12 oxygens plus 1, which is 13. And I did not change my hydrogens. All right, so we go back to the top. Are my carbons balanced? Yes. Are my oxygens balanced? No. I have 12 and 1. Okay, so let's try to fix our hydrogens. Maybe that will help our oxygens. So are my hydrogens balanced? I got 2 and 12, so no. Let's change this 2 to equal 12. What number can we put in front of this formula right here? Blank times 2 equals 12. I'm going to write my coefficient in. I'm going to distribute and multiply. 6 times 2 and 6 times 1. So I have 6 oxygens plus 6 times 2 is 12. So 12 plus 6 is 18. That's a much easier number to work with. So then we go back to the top. Are my carbons balanced? Yes. Are my oxygens balanced? No. I have 18 on this side. I have 8 over here. So I have 6 right here. I don't really want to mess with this formula right here because if I put a number here, if I put a coefficient here, it's going to mess up my carbons and my hydrogens. So I'm going to see if I can mess with just this one over here. I have 6. I need 18. So if I subtract 6 from 18, I get 12. Can I make this equal 12? Just this one over here. 12 divided by 2 is, so then I distribute and multiply. 6 times 2 is 12 plus the 6 here. 12 plus 6 is 18. So I go back and check. Are my carbons balanced? Are my oxygens balanced? Is my hydrogen balanced? Very good. So then my equation is 6CO2 plus 6H2O produces C6H12O6 plus 6O2. All right, last one, we're going to continue going back and forth. All right, I wrote my chemical reaction as a formula. I'm going to count my elements. Remember, you're counting the capital letters. N is for nitrogen. H is for hydrogen. I kind of ran out of room, so I'm going to put my oxygen over there. Alrighty, I found my elements. I'm going to count. I have 1 nitrogen, 3 hydrogen, and 2 oxygen. I have 1 nitrogen, 2 oxygen, and 2 hydrogen. Am I balanced? Well, let's check. Nitrogen, check. Hydrogen, not check. All right. So when I have an unbalanced equation that has a 3 on one side and a 2 on another, I'm going to find my least common multiple. What is a number that both of these can go into? The easiest way to find that is to multiply these two numbers together. So 3 times 2 is 6. So I need to get 6 hydrogen here. What coefficient? Multiplied by 3. Can I make 6? So I change my coefficient. I distribute and multiply. 2 times 1. 2 times 3. And then I'm going to change my hydrogen over here. I need to make 6. Blank times 2 equals 6. I write my coefficient in. I distribute and multiply. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3. Plus 1 is 4. All right, so I go back. Are my nitrogens balanced? No, I have 2 on this side. I have 1 over here. What do I need to put here to make 2? Blank times 1 equals 2. Fill in my coefficient. I distribute and multiply. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 1 is 2. So I have 2 plus 3, which equal 5. Now I go back and check. Are my nitrogens balanced? Yes. Are my hydrogens balanced? Yes. Are my oxygens balanced? No. So when I'm here, okay, I have 2 on this side, I have 5 on the side. 2 does not go into 5 evenly. So again, I'm going to find my least common multiple. 2 times 5 is 10. Okay, so I'm going to figure out how to make this 10. So I can definitely make this one 5 right here. 5 times 2 is 10. Now, when I have 2 oxygens over here, and they're both 1s, then I really kind of want to figure out what are multiples of 10. So over here off to the side, 10, I can have 1 and 10, I can have 2 and 5. Sorry. Ugh, it's late. I don't want to think of multiples of 10. I want to think of things that can add together to make 10. So things that can add together to make 10, I have 1 and 9, 2 and 8, 3 and 7, 4 and 6, and 5 and 5. So any of these combinations I kind of want to work with. Okay, so I'm looking over here. I know that my hydrogens need to be an even number. So if it's an even number, these can all cross out. So that means I'll have 2 oxygens and 8 oxygens, or 4 oxygens and 6 oxygens. So we have 2 oxygens here. Let's make 8 oxygens here. But if I make 8, that's 16. And then 3 doesn't go into 16. Do you see how I did that? So if I put an 8 right here, that will give me 8 oxygens, and 8 plus 2 is 10 oxygens. So that's balanced. But if I put an 8 here, 8 times 2 is 16. Now, when I look over here, I see that hydrogen has a subscript of 3. 3 does not go evenly into 16. Therefore, 2 and 8 won't work. So let's try 4 and 6. We're going to change this coefficient to 6. So 6 times 2 is 12. And 6 times 1 is 6. But we're also going to change this coefficient right here to 4. And 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 6, which equal 10. All right, so my oxygens are finally balanced. Let's check our nitrogens. Are my nitrogens balanced? No, I have 2 right here and 4 right here. So what times 1 equals 4? Cross out my coefficient, write in my new coefficient, and distribute and multiply. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. Awesome. So now I double check. Are my nitrogens balanced? Yes, I have 4 of each. Are my hydrogens balanced? Yes, I have 12 of each. Are my oxygens balanced? Yes, I have 10 of each. Yay. Okay, so posted on Edmodo for your daily assignment are 9 balancing equations. You are going to complete those balancing equations. You can write them out on paper like this. Just make sure that you number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Or you can print them out and complete them on that paper. You are then going to take a photo of them and submit them as your daily assignment.